Hello, and welcome to Out and About, a presentation of the Port Townsend North Olympic Peninsula Chapter of PFLAG. That's Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. If there was one word I would use to describe Port Townsend, it would be diverse. There's no doubt about it. And on our program, we'll be focusing in on those of us whose diversity comes in part from our sexual orientation or gender identity. Now, these things sometimes make us stand out from the average Joe on the street, but that's not all Out and About is about. It's a program about how we, as individuals, are making a positive contribution to our community. This is my pal Woody, and he's very excited, as you can tell, because on today's edition of Out and About, we're going to be talking with Bonita Flagg, business owner and all-around nice gal. Some of you may remember her from her years with Jefferson County Animal Services.
She was the dog catcher.
That's right. But most recently, she's known as the proud proprietress of Bonita's Four-Legged Friends, a great place for local pet owners to find the most nutritious foods for their dogs and cats, as well as some pretty cool toys, too. I'll be your host, Chris Hawley, and this is Out and About.
How much is that doggy in the window? I do hope that doggy is for sale. I read in the papers there are robbers with flashlights that shine.
What made you want to get into the pet food business, or any business related? Any pet-related business.
Right. Oh, well, some time ago, a long time ago now, a couple of my dogs died of cancer. They were 16, but still they died of cancer. So I wanted to know why dogs or cats should die of cancer. Didn't think that should be something that got them. And I looked on the back of the bag of food that I was serving them, and it had BHTs, ethoxyquins, byproducts, red and yellow dye, and all of those things are carcinogenics. They're all things that can cause cancer, and there it was right in my dog food, and I'd been feeding that to them for a long time. So then I was becoming aware of my own food and what I was eating, and so started looking on dog and cat foods, and what I found was just awful. So I then started searching for good dog food, and the best I could find was one that didn't have preservatives or dyes in it, and that was all that I could find at that time. And I was working, and I continued to work a long time for animal control. I was the shelter manager there, and so then the next thing I knew was the fellow that had brought in this store, Four-Legged Friends, wanted to sell it. So I bought it, and then I've expanded it a great deal. And so I've had a long interest in what I eat and what dogs eat and what cats eat. So all of our foods here are made, first of all, with human-grade ingredients. In a regular dog food, they generally take meats that are saturated with all the hormones and the steroids and all kinds of junk that they put into them. They take all of that, and they put it in barrels and with fat and God knows what else, intestines and all that. And that's what goes into the dog food. A lot of times they don't dye in that too, so that it's colored so that people won't mistake it and use it in human grade food. So my dog and cat food is all made with human grade ingredients, things that you and I could eat. And they have no dyes, they have no byproducts, and there's no preservatives. BHTs, BHAs, ethoxyquin, none of that is in any of this food.
Besides the less than high quality meat ingredients that go into pet foods, you said something about animals from shelters.
Oh yeah. When I was working for animal control, we shot a fatal drug into the cats and dogs to euthanize them, to kill them. And then we took those carcasses and they were picked up by a rendering plant. And rendering is a common thing that goes into cat and dog food. So we like to say there's no ground up fluffies in our food. It's a pretty common practice for almost all big companies to use rendering. And the scary part about that is that it's not only that thing of species eating their own species, which is problems, mad cow disease, etc. It's also a problem in the sense that we don't know how long that drug lasts. And so the drugs may still be in a minute quantity, probably, but still may be getting into the food chain, back into the foods. And dogs and cats now are coming down with all kinds of interesting things, like bad skin problems. And part of it, I think, is just because their mothers and fathers have been given poor nutrition because of the foods they eat, even though they eat, store-bought food and should be good food, but it's not. I think I told you, too, that there was a dog food that sold at Walmart that puppies, young dogs died on of malnutrition. You can buy 40 pounds for $8 to $10. Not much in there except sawdust and other, junky stuff.
You get what you pay for.
Absolutely.
Is there, especially back when you started becoming interested in nutritious pet food, was there any kind of testing on animal foods or the ingredients that would go into animal foods, pet foods, such as there is with human ingredients?
Yeah, there is. There's an organization that's called AFCO, AFFCO, and they do testing on foods. But the problem is that they may test 12 dogs at the most, or 12 cats, and if the animal doesn't die on the foods, then it's okay. There's a lot of talk about on dog food complete, nutrition. Well, dogs and cats, like people, are pretty much have to have variety for one thing, but dogs and cats have different needs, and so no one food's going to meet all the dog or cat's needs at one time. And so that's why now they think it's a good idea to switch the foods around. So that's why we've expanded. We're probably represent the largest amount of dog and cat food this side of the waters. In other words, we rep more different kinds of good foods. All of them, again, human grade. And so people can come in and switch the foods around if they want to, so they can have use Wellness one time, Precise another. If they're feeling really flush, they can go to Karma, which is a food that's 95% organic, and that's a new move now. They keep raising up the ante all the time on dogs and cat foods. I mean, about the quality of the foods and the stuff they're putting in them. So dog and cat food are going organic as well.
So it's not just, from one thing you mentioned, it's not just the basic ingredients, the non-animal ingredients that go into pet food, the organic, how things are grown and things like that, but the quality of the animal products that go in, such as chicken or beef.
Right. Well, I guess coming from a humane business and working with and seeing a lot of animal abuse, and I've seen chickens in chicken. Been raised in Georgia. I mean, I wasn't raised in Georgia. I'm talking about the chickens that were in Georgia that I visited, and they were in these large metal buildings. And when they're small, they just dump them in there. And as they grow, the room becomes more precious, and they'll even peck and eat each other because they're just compressed in there. And then they come through and take all those guys out and slaughter them someplace, and then they go into the into our foods and other people's in dog and cat foods. Same way with cattle. I've seen the stockyards where the cattle, before they go into the slaughter pens, are standing knee high in poop in their cow manure, and then so it's not a pleasant way. So and I've seen veal too. I've seen the way they make veal. I've seen a calf that was this was in this county, in Jefferson County, and there was nothing we could do. So it's all pretty cruel. What we try to do is make sure that as much as possible the chickens are free range, at least not caged chickens, and that the animals have been treated in a humane way. Those are the kinds of parameters we try to put on it. Of course, not all of our foods probably have. Some of them may have beef that comes from regular slaughterhouses and things of that sort. But we are always looking for those guys that are using humane treatment. We also have frozen foods too. It's not just dry and canned. We have a frozen food. In our frozen food, there's a line that's a buffalo meat, and the buffalo are just grazing, just like they slaughter a lot of the cattle out here. They're just grazing, and someone comes along and shoots them, and they're down. And then, that meat is used for, I think, people food and dog food. So, at least I think that's more humane than going to a stockyard.
I got to ask you, how did Paul Newman get from salad dressing to premium cat food?
Well, it's actually Nell Newman that it's his daughter that does that, and I think not only Paul Newman, but Dick Van Dyke, or not Dick Van Dyke, Dick Patton, Dick Van Patten. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he has a line too, and he had it long before Paul Newman. And I think Paul Newman just wants to get his ideas about producing, quality, safe products for people and animals to eat. I imagine that's how he got in. I haven't talked to Nell recently, so I really don't know.
You two haven't been in touch for a while.
We have not been in touch for a while.
I'm really sad.
No. But a lot of, it's like there's a brand of food called Wellness, and that used to be Old Mother Hubbard, which was I think they still make some products, but a lot of the companies saw that, oh boy, people are buying this kind of food. And it's more expensive, but people are buying it. I think I told you that when I started this, when I bought it, the business, I was 60 years old, and everyone said, why do you want to go into, retail business on dog and cat food? It's hard to make money that way at your age. And I just said, I know it'll go because the people here in Port Townsend are really, really careful about what they eat. And I know that if I offer them that kinds of food for their dogs and their cats, that they'll go for it. And it's, now I think we're in business 7 years now. So it's like, it's working.
And you just recently moved.
We just recently moved up here. Now we're on Sims. We were down in across the street from the, or not across the street, across the parking lot, I guess, from the skateboard park.
Right.
But,
there's a Saturday. They're coming to get you.
Yes, they are.
We didn't tell you about that because we didn't want you to
That's right.
bolt.
She was the dog catcher.
How many brands do you guess, just off the top of your head, that you carry?
Oh, probably about 16, 17 brands. I'll give a commercial to, there's a magazine called the Whole Life Journal, and Whole Dog Journal, I mean, not Whole Life, Whole Dog Journal. And they do all kinds of research about what foods are good. They don't do research on the food itself, but they look at the ingredients, and they have their criterias, my criteria too. And there's 32 of those in their list, and out of the 32, we have like 20 some. So, and some of those I can't even rep because they're mail order. So we really represent a big selection of ultra premium dog and cat food.